Welcome to Just Talk with Justine, a podcast for breast cancer survivors and supporters. Just Talk with Justine is a platform where breast cancer survivors can share their journeys. If we can help just one person who's listening today, we've accomplished our goal. Okay, let us get started. Well, here we are. Welcome to Just Talk with Justine, where we share real stories of resilience and bravery and healing and hope. I'm your host, Justine, and today we are honored to be joined by an incredible woman, Ms. Linda Schulte, breast cancer survivor, entrepreneur, who is here to share her journey, her wisdom, and her strength with us today. Welcome, Linda Schulte. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I've been waiting for this for a while, so I'm excited.
I know we keep missing up our dates and times,
I
and
know.
here we are. Well, you're a busy gal.
Well, I do stay busy, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You know, as I was reading some of the questions and answers that I sent you,
Mhm.
I really love the fact that you said that you were here to help people.
Mhm.
And that really struck me because have you been like that your whole life? Because
I'm not
you're a
I'm
giver.
not, I don't really know. I don't remember being that way. I think more so it started happening after breast cancer, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, I think I was always a very kind person, but my real pull to, being able to give back and do things for people was definitely stronger after the breast cancer diagnosis. I was
Okay.
already kind of getting into my non-for-profit stuff before that a little bit. But it just, once diagnosis happened, I just like accelerated. I'm like, okay, here's my passion. Here's what I got to do in the world. So.
Because you are such a generous and giving person. And I also love that you said, you know, you needed to let go and let God. And it helped you to really be a survivor of cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, very much of a control freak. I had everything. I took care of everybody, my job, everything, totally in control. And to say, oh, there's something not right with me, I had to, wave the flag and have to give that up. I want to call it being perfect, but that's not exactly what I mean by that. But it was more of, saying, hey, guess what, guys? I'm not, I'm not invincible here. And it was a really refreshing and eye-opening experience to have to go through those steps. And I thank God every day that I did what I did and how I did it.
And I love that you started. Tell me a little bit about the Young Survival Coalition. Is that something you started?
No, I did not start the whole organization. It actually started in New York City. I don't remember what year. I was diagnosed in 2005, so it was there already before me. So it was a national organization. And then when I was diagnosed at the age of 37, there was nobody my age. Well, I mean, there was. I just didn't know who they were. And, my first question to my uh, oncology social worker was when he goes, well, they're not around. I'm like, oh, did they die? And he goes,
Oh
no, no,
gosh.
no. They just get busy with their lives and go back into it. And at that moment, he kind of tasked me or challenged me maybe with saying, isn't that a shame? And basically, Linda, do something about that. And so I got highly involved with creating a chapter here in Orlando. And I think that was 2006 or seven when we started getting it rocking and rolling. Um, and we had probably 300 people here in the Central Florida area. I did it all the way up until 2011. And
Wow.
that's where I got into real estate, and it was hard to balance both things. And after doing it for so long, it can be a little bit of a rewarding as it is. It can be also a level of burnout, and but it was a really great experience. And to this day, I still have such strong connections with the ladies that I came in contact with. We're still here to support each other. We still get together on occasion, and of course, I come out and I support you guys.
You do. And when she says you guys, that means Warriors on Water. And if
Mhm.
anyone's an avid listener to me, they know that I'm an avid dragon boater on a team called Warriors on Water. So this, this Young Survival Coalition, I remember when I was diagnosed my first time in the year 2000, I remember hearing it and kind of knowing about it, but I think when it said young, I didn't feel like I was part of it.
Yeah.
I was in my 40s when I was diagnosed, but now it seems to be an epidemic where more and more young women are being diagnosed. It's scary.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's actually happening. I haven't really looked at the data. I think if you look at the data, it is increasing, but I think more so we become more aware of it. And so we're all like, oh, wait a minute, that person's young, that person's young, that person's young. And you start to realize how many people really have breast cancer, have been diagnosed with it, and how many of them are young, under the age of 40. Going back to Young Survival Coalition, they do say women under 40 diagnosed with breast cancer, but we didn't hold that like, oh, you're 40, you can't come into the group. We call it premenopausal, but then it didn't even matter. Young is what you are at heart. I don't know how they operate nowadays, but I hopefully they still have that same philosophy that it's not about your age chronologically. It's about what are you doing in life? Where are you going? What are you doing?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
believe that. But I was so naive myself that, breast cancer to me was totally new. So
right.
I guess I just assumed that oh, I'm too old.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and I wish they didn't. I wish they had a different word for it, but I can't change it. It was their
no,
organization.
it's a great thing. It's a
It
great
was very, it
reason.
was very, I mean, it's a great organization, especially for women. It's just like, now they're getting so much better with how they treat women who are premenopausal. But back then they were still trying to figure it out. In fact, with me, they were like, we don't know what the hell to do with you. So they just threw everything at me that they possibly could. Yeah, it was hell when I went through it, but 20
Yeah.
plus years, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah, we're still here to talk about it, and here we
Yeah.
are. And I think sharing our stories is got to be good for somebody that might be listening, right?
Absolutely.
That's my goal is if just one person hears you and I talk about it and knows that we're good, we're alive and thriving, they can
Driving.
be the
Mhm.
same. They can be the same.
Yeah, so I want to tell you too, back when I was diagnosed, they really did anticipate me passing away within or being re-diagnosed with something in 5 years from my diagnosis date. So I remember always looking to see like, oh, that person's 15 years, that one's 20 years, that one's 25 years. It gave me hope, like, okay, so I was looking to those people as my, what do they call that? The
Like a
light
role model.
role model, the lighthouse, that light at the top of the
Right,
lighthouse.
right.
And I remember I was out training for the 60-mile walk, and I had separated from my two walking people, and then I caught up to them, and they said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to," and I don't remember the lady's name now, and her name, I say her name was Beth. But like, here, this is Beth. She's doing the 60-mile walk. I'm like, okay, that's great. And they said she was diagnosed. It was at this point, I think it was 20 years ago, and whatever it was kind of like I looked at her and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be me in 20 years. And so
Cool.
I'm like, she was out there. Funny part about it, I saw her at the 60-mile walk, at the circle. Really strange thing. I saw her and then she vanished. And I
You
swear to
never
you,
saw her again.
I feel like it was an angel that came to me. Because
Oh
I
my,
never saw her again. Never communicated with her again.
wow.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but to this day, I remember meeting her and going, "Oh, so that's what it looks like when you were diagnosed at a young age."
Wow, that was a
And
vivid memory.
oh yeah, in fact, I didn't see her again at the thing. I saw her on the walk, and then I saw her during our circle at the end. Didn't see her. Didn't. She was just like went back, and I'm like, "Where'd she go?" I even asked my niece who met her. I'm like, "Did you see her?" She goes, "I saw her, but she's like vanished." And I go, "That's weird."
That's something. Yeah, maybe she was an angel talking to you.
I think so.
He
That's
was.
what I'm going to believe. That's my belief
I
today.
like that story. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
cool.
believe there've got to be people and angels out there. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So when you were diagnosed, did you ever have a recurrence?
Nope. If I'm evidence no evidence of I'm Ned, no evidence of disease.
Okay.
So yeah, so
Knock
I get
Yeah.
tumor markers checked. I go in for I should be going in for mammograms every year, but I'm like every 2 years. Uh,
Oh, come on, Linda.
I know, I know.
Oh my
I
God. I can't believe I'm hearing that out of your mouth. Don't say
let me
that.
take a water sip out of that one. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to go, once a year, and I 100% advocate that. But sometimes life gets a little bit busy, but I'm back into my motion of making sure I get in there once a year. So,
Good, good. Yeah, please do. Please
but I
do.
do get my tumor markers checked on a regular basis.
And how do you do that? By blood
Blood
work?
tests, yeah, blood
Okay.
tests, yeah, and I forgot this like AC 27 or something like that. And it's funny, outside of the oncology world, when I tell them I need to have that tumor marker done, they didn't know what it was. So I've educated a few doctors.
I bet you have.
Yeah, and so they're like, "Well, it's reading this number." I said, "I'm good." They're like,
Yeah,
"What is?" I'm like, "It's good. I know if it's under this number, I'm okay." And they're like,
yeah, yeah.
"Okay, go study up, man."
So when you were diagnosed, oh my God, we hear my dog in the background. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Did you have chemotherapy and a mastectomy as well?
Yeah. So what I had was I'm HER2. I was her. I guess I am. I was HER2 new positive, and I also had slightly elevated for ER and PR. So I was the triple positive. Imagine that. I'm so positive. I got three of them. The main thing they had to focus on was it being HER2 new. And the tumor, I forgot the size of it, but they were talking about possibly doing a lumpectomy. One doctor I went to was a male. He's like, yeah, you can do it. I went to another one, female, and she's like, nah, you don't want to do that because this is what's going to look like. I'm like, oh, geez. So she said, let's do chemotherapy first, and it should shrink the tumor. So I did chemo for eight, so 16 weeks of it. Um, and it didn't shrink at
Oh,
all.
wow.
And I said, okay, that's not good. She goes, well, it got a little bit, less, you got more, less dense. I'm like, okay, good. Problem is that at that time, had they been giving me Herceptin at the same time, that thing probably would have shriveled up and gone away. That's how powerful Herceptin is. So once I went through my treatment, and she's like, listen, we're going to have to do a mastectomy. I said, that's fine. We went with just the single mastectomy. Knowing what I know today, I would have done a double, quite
Double. Yeah,
honestly.
me
But you don't
too.
know what you don't know.
Me too. I
Um,
didn't have the double either.
and so I did not have to do any radiation, thank God, because at first I thought, oh, let's just do radiation. That'll be super cool. I'm so glad I didn't have to do that because that was a commitment, 5 days a week for like 6 weeks or something like that. I'm like, ah. So the chemo, I was happy to do chemo. Sounds crazy. But once they discovered Herceptin was good for the first time breast cancer survivors, I went to a different oncologist because the first one didn't want to have me go through that or didn't know how to navigate it yet. So I went to a different one, Dr. Maruz, and she got me accepted and got my insurance to cover it. I had to advocate for myself to get Herceptin. I'll tell you, it's by the grace of God that I knew what I was talking about and knew the right people to talk to. Because I will tell you one thing, I would not be sitting here today. I know that for a fact. I
Wow.
didn't advocate for myself. So I had to go
That's
through a little bit of extra chemotherapy that was mild. I had to go through another, I think, 18 months of Herceptin. Um, but hey, it was a long process. I think my total treatment was like 3.5 years.
wow. That's
Yeah, yeah,
did you
yeah.
get a
To
port?
go,
Did you have a port?
yeah, I had a port, and at the time, there was a thing about putting it in your chest, putting it in your arm. And so the doctor I chose to go to, she's putting it in the arm. And then somebody's like, no, don't put it in your arm, blah, blah, blah. So I went back. I said, hey, everybody's telling me not to put it in the arm. And she said, well, if you don't want me to put it in the arm, go find yourself another doctor.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, but I trusted I can't explain how much I trusted this woman and what she was doing, and knew about her and everything. And I'm like, okay, well then if she's that firm on it, then I'm doing it. And thank goodness I did it in my arm because she was the lap belt on the seat belts and the purses and it would have been so much more traumatizing to me. Now, the only problem with having it in my arm is somebody went to come up and grab me and shake me by the arms. I would drop to the ground because it was so painful. That only
Oh,
happened once or twice.
oh
So
my God, really?
I didn't usually get people coming up and wanting to shake me by my arm.
Right, but so how far down in the arm was it? Above your elbow or closer to the
It
shoulder?
was right in here.
Oh, it was underneath.
Yeah, so nobody ever saw it. There's still a little tiny incision there. You could barely see it. Every once in a while it goes, hey, I want to remember you were here. That scar tissue.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
interesting.
yeah, I don't think they do it that way anymore. I think everybody's getting in the chest again.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a port. That's one of the reasons I don't have any veins because back then, year 2000, I was getting it through the veins. So,
Wow.
oh, it was horrible. But my experience was not good. But it's all okay. Actually, it wasn't in 2000. I take that back. It was in 1980 and
Oh,
79. When I had Hodgkin's disease, they did chemo on me.
oh, okay. Yeah, things were a lot different back then.
Yeah, and they did it through through an IV. So, yeah, it was way different.
Decline.
And then 20 years later, in the year 2000, I didn't have to have chemo, but I had radiation, I had everything else but. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it
yeah.
was chemotherapy and everything was pretty harsh back in
Oh, it was
um,
horrible.
yeah, yeah, my dad went through cancer treatment, I think 81 to when he passed away in 88. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was, it
it's
was,
not a fun
it
thing.
was brutal.
It very much so, but it saved my life.
Yeah.
I hate to put it like that, but it saved
Yep.
my life. They only knew what they knew, you know.
Yeah, that's why they call practicing medicine.
I never thought of that exactly. Oh my God,
Yay.
it's so scary practicing medicine.
I know, but it's a true statement. That's why you have to be knowledgeable, get information, be your best advocate for yourself, and don't read what everybody says on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. But there's so much information out there too right now that, you can't not be an advocate for yourself.
Right. Just as long
At
as you
least I
get the
think
right
so.
information. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Just as long as you're getting the right information and nobody's doing a scare tactic or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's kind of like when I was first diagnosed, I think I kept my head a little bit in the sand. And I think I did it purposefully because I didn't want to know how bad being diagnosed HER2/neu was
Yes.
until they came out with Herceptin. I'm like, wait a minute, it's for HER2/neu. And then I started reading it. And I'm like, holy moly, I didn't realize it was that bad. And again, I think I stuck my head in the sand because I didn't want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to go through and do what I had to do and, get through it. So,
Huh. And so interesting. I didn't know anything about Herceptin and I didn't have to have it. So that's kind of out of my realm. I didn't know that, but I'm so glad it worked for you.
yeah,
What?
I think about 25% of the breast cancers are now HER2/neu. I believe I heard that recently. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that statistic. So,
When you say HER2 new, I mean, I've heard of HER2 positive, HER2 negative, but I've never heard of HER2 new.
yeah, it's HER2/neu. So it's HER2, HER2 slash
HER2.
NEU, and you're positive or negative.
Okay.
And so it's a monoclonal antibody that clicks on and takes over, is what I was explained to me. So, kind of what they came up with the way to treat COVID is very similar how it goes. It's a targeted
Hmm.
treatment. Herceptin's a targeted treatment that goes right after it, seeks it out like Pac-Man.
Right, right.
No, no,
Well,
no, no, no.
just like chemotherapy kills everything. It doesn't just kill your cancer cells, it kills pretty
Does
much everything
everything.
else in
Yeah,
you.
and that's where the Herceptin, it was, as far as I know, I'm not a doctor here, but my understanding, it actually targets that specific type of cancer cell.
Ah,
And yeah, maybe it might hurt your heart a little bit, but hey, I
sacrifice.
have a big enough heart. There's plenty in there.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you were only 37 at that time, too.
Yep, 37. I was just about ready to turn 38. So I was diagnosed 2 months before my 38th birthday. Yep.
And were you living by yourself? Were
Yep.
you,
I
yeah?
lived by myself. I worked at a full-time job in human resources at a timeshare company at a big resort out in Celebration. I had a huge job and was in the process of getting some crazy promotion in the whole company. And we had to put all that on the back burner and live, like I said, I live by myself and Kind of was a two-story townhome I lived in too, which was incredibly difficult to go up and
Go
down
up
those
and down
stairs at
those
some
stairs.
point.
I bet there were times you stayed downstairs though, right? Did you ever do?
Um, Sometimes, but mainly I crawled up and down the stairs if I had to.
Right, right.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. So being all this said, so what would you tell somebody who's newly diagnosed? Besides, make sure you do your due diligence and all that. I mean, is there any words of wisdom that would come out of Linda Schulte's mouth?
yeah, main thing is that it's if you're newly diagnosed, don't look at it as, oh, I have a death sentence. This is a new lease on life. This is a new way of a new your world's going to change automatically. And so embrace it and find out, why did this happen to you? Because everybody says, why me? Why me? I don't I maybe did that for a minute and I said, why not me? That's what I
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
And, who else better to, get out in front of people and, talk about survivorship, talk about advocacy, but just don't take it as, oh, geez, I have cancer and let me sit down and just die.
right.
Because that's not the,
And
that's
you
not gonna help
probably
anybody.
will with an attitude like that. You
Well,
know, something's not good there.
right, and be willing to open up to other people and tell them what's going on. Now, you're going to have your snakes in the grass that are going to take advantage, but there's going to be some very good people out there that you will be shocked that they rise to the occasion. The ones you thought you're going to be your steady eddies, they all of a sudden like, I can't handle this. They can't handle it because I was the one that took care of everything. And like, wait a minute, what am I going to do? And
Exactly.
also, of course, the thought of, oh my gosh, she's going to die. They think they like wanted to part ways. But then when they saw, oh wait, she's making it. Let me go back in her world. I'm very forgiving. I'm just like, that's okay. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
and I'm not going to say, oh, you showed your colors. Yeah, they showed your colors. They're human being. So I'm not
correct.
going to go, it's not like anybody did anything wrong. I had so much help. I had so much support that it was okay. People could take a break. And I got to rotate people out. I was very lucky that way.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
everybody got a little bit of Linda time and God bless the ones that got Linda when she was really sick and not happy,
yeah. I
which
understand.
was not that many times, but I was a bear.
So do you think, have you always been like that? Have you always had that spirit in you when you were a young girl?
I don't believe I did.
No.
Nope. Nope, I don't believe I did. I don't know. Um
You think
I,
breast
I
cancer brought it out?
it brought it out more so. I was also very, very much a closed off person. Like I didn't let too many people into my world, kind of a thing before breast cancer. And, I mean, especially when I did human resource, I had to be so tight-lipped about myself and didn't want anybody to know anything. And then, one of my friends always says, she like, you wouldn't even tell people your real name when we go out places. And she would be
Really?
walking around going, my name's Linda Schulte and I'm a breast cancer survivor.
That's why everybody loves you. Oh my God.
Mhm.
Wow, that's an interesting that you didn't even tell people your real name.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a joke when we worked in human resources. There was a group of us that, you know, doing human resources is hard, and doing it in a timeshare company is really hard.
Wow.
So, we go out and have our little bit of fun, and it was my job to make up everybody's names when we went out,
Oh gosh.
and I would change it, and they would have to play along with me and see if anybody caught on.
Yeah.
Sometimes they did,
Yeah.
sometimes they didn't. When they
Yeah.
did catch on really quickly, I was like, "Oh, darn it!"
Yeah. When I was
Yeah,
single, I have to admit I did do that myself.
yeah, yeah, we had quite a bit of fun back in the day, so I'm still having fun.
You are. And let's get to today because you are a thriver and you are living your best life. I feel
Mhm,
by me, I know you, but I don't know you. You know what I mean? I know who you are. I know you're a beautiful person, a beautiful spirit, a giver, and an entrepreneur.
mhm.
But there's another side of you that is just so giving and like I've been to your parties and I love when you give. You're just a giver. I'll never
Mhm.
forget the first time that I met you with Frankie and you were helping him with his blanket Orlando and you'd rented a truck for him and I
Oh
thought,
yeah.
wow, this gal is something, man. that was pretty powerful for me. I remember that very vividly.
Yeah, well, it was a really wonderful thing that he was doing. He's not part of any non-for-profit. He's doing it from the goodness of his heart. It's coming from his heart. It's
Yeah.
not coming because he was getting monetary things for it.
Right.
It wasn't, there was no red tape involved in it. I'm like, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful thing. I said, I got to be part of this. This is incredible that he's doing this. And so it was like, how much is the truck? Not a problem. Let's go do it. Now, I'm not made of money, but I'm also somebody who believes that I'm a servant leader, and you give and things will come back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's kind of how I've operated when I got into real estate in 2011. That's kind of how I operated. Everybody's like, you're giving it away, giving things away. And I'm like, it'll be okay.
Hmm.
I'm tending to my bamboo garden right now. I'm
Yeah.
sowing the seeds. I'm getting everything ready. And once it's going to blossom, it's going to blow up and just be, going.
Ready.
And
Yeah.
so, that's kind of what I did from the beginning. And I still do that today. I give a lot. Now, you mentioned my parties. So my parents owned a hotel, well, two hotels down in Miami Beach, and they would put on incredible parties during the season. And so I got to, learn from my mom and my dad about doing those kinds of things. And my mom just like totally enjoyed doing those parties. So I it's a little bit of my mom in me when I do those big events like that.
Yeah.
So
She was a party planner, huh?
she was a party planner, and everybody wanted my mom around because she was a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun. And the other thing, Justine, I get a lot of I fills my cup, I guess is what they say, to see everybody enjoying themselves. In fact, I mean, I'm at the parties and I'm running around doing this, doing that. I've had to ask people to actually film it and
So
tell me
they
what is so I could see, because I don't know what's going on, that I get this incredible feedback of how great it was and how wonderful and this and that. And I'm like, what is going on at this party? And I
yeah.
literally I got a couple people do some videos, like I did the You Rock and Donate thing. That was the rock and roll thing, and a
Uh-huh.
couple of the other parties. And I'm like watching the videos and I'm like, yeah, I guess it is pretty cool. There is a lot going on. Nobody's making it up. They weren't having a good time.
Yeah.
Smiles and bubbles and margaritas and
You were having too busy doing making sure everybody was happy that you didn't get to observe it. But that's
no,
great.
I do not get to observe it. And oops, I lost my earring. I'm
Uh-oh.
earringless. It's okay. I have one over here. It'll be fine. Um,
Well, it couldn't have gone too far. You just
no,
lost it.
it's right there on the floor.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
have to bend over to get it, but then I might make all kinds of noises getting back.
That's all right. At least you know where it is. I would lose it and not know where I lost it. So,
Just remind me not to step on it.
okay. Okay. Before we get, I'll make sure you don't. I don't. So how long? So you've been in real estate since 2011, you said?
Correct. Yep.
And how did that happen?
Okay, so what happened is I'm fourth generation real estate professional in the state of Florida. So my parents own hotels, they own brokerages and stuff like that in
Okay.
Miami. And I'm the youngest of six, and I was told you're not to get into your own business, don't get into real estate. You go to college, you go get a job, you let them take care of you. And I said, aye, mom and dad. Gotcha, loud and clear. So that's what I did. Went and got my education. Yeah, it might have taken me 10 years, but hey, always having fun. And so I got into it. I was in human resources for 17 years. And the company I was working at was starting to go through some changes. It was, 2004. So the economy started really getting kicked in the teeth at that point. So timeshare wasn't doing as great. So I could start seeing we were downsizing and things like, so I was like, okay, so I'm like, I need to get out of this business. And I decided at that point, I don't want to be in timeshare, and I don't think I want to be in human resources.
Okay.
That's kind of where I sit. So 2010, I reached out to some constituents that were part of my Young Survival Coalition that I trusted, that were business people. And I said, hey, I need to make a change. I don't know what my next chapter is going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like. And I had one person message me back. She goes, you should get into real estate. And I said, are you out of your mind? Yes. I said, we're hiring people in at $7 and $8 an hour who are in real estate, and they're crying. They can't make any money. And it's horrible. And this and that. It's all I'm hearing. And
Hmm.
she said, that's because they're lazy. And I'm like, what do you mean they're lazy? She goes, they had to just like shooting fish in a barrel. Now they got
Right.
to like work at it and they don't know how to. She goes,
Right.
I know how you run Young Survival Coalition. I know how you operate with your marketing. I know how you do things. I know who you are. She goes, you're going to kill it in real estate. And I was like, oh, okay. So I call up my sister Betty, who's been in real estate, and I said, hey, guess what? I think I'm going to get into real estate. I'm going to go take the class and get into real estate. And she goes, oh, hell no, you're not. Mom and dad will roll over in their graves.
Oh
And I
no.
said, I know, but I really, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but I'm going to work with Marsha Castro. And she goes, oh, with Marsha? Oh, yes, you have my blessing. Go do it. So,
Oh
because
wow.
she knew her from the 60-mile walks.
Okay.
And so anyway, it took me a while. I was like, okay. So I didn't want to just like go take the class and like do half and half. I was going to transition in slowly. And then so I signed up for the class finally to start I think it was like May 10th, 2011. And they couldn't let me have any time off from work because I had to do trainings and hiring people or whatever. I said, okay, well, I'll help you. I'll accommodate you. I'll go, 2 nights a week and 2 weekends, whatever it was, just to
Right.
accommodate them so I could be there to do whatever they needed. They needed me for. And then like, so I registered for the class. Like a week later, they're like, oh, by the way, we're eliminating your position. That was
Oh
like
my.
May 4th. We're eliminating your position. I said, what? And they're
Wow.
like, yeah, we're eliminating your position. I said, this is fantastic. And they go, what? I said, this is great news. I said, when's my last day? Kind of today. And I said,
Wow.
oh, okay. I said, I was like really excited. And my boss, she says, are you bullshitting me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry for the foul language. And I said, no. I said, in fact, I got to go because I want to see if they'll switch my class to the ninth because
Right.
I'm getting my real estate license. And she goes, are you kidding me? I said, no.
Wow.
And so
See?
I called up, they switched it over. And so eliminated position on the 4th of May, in class on the 9th of May of 2011, licensed real estate agent by May 19th.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
that's a pretty intense course. I did take it myself.
yeah, but we took it in 1 week. One
Yeah.
week. All I did was focus, 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 and get it done. And I didn't even take the review class because I didn't want to have to stay for the review class. I had to get to Miami for a homewarming party for my niece Valerie. I
Oh,
said, I
it was
said,
all kismet. It was all meant to be with that job, cutting your
yeah,
position and
it
everything.
worked. Yeah. And I had an opportunity to say goodbye to everybody. I had an opportunity that came along. We didn't tell them my position was eliminated because they were afraid it was going to like mess with some people's heads because they knew I was kind of connected with some upper people. And so I just let everybody know I got a great opportunity, and then everybody like reached back out to me right away. And so I walked into this business with about 600 contacts, which is
Yeah.
not a normal thing. And people are human resources. Who else are they going to trust? And that's when I started doing short sales because that was the short sale time. And I started
Ah,
finding out so many people that were struggling financially. I had no clue. But once I came into human resources, I got out of human resources and into real estate, they started
sure.
reaching out to me and asking me for advice. So I became Schulte sells short sales swiftly because I was
Well,
able to get them.
say
They would
that
normally
again.
take 6 months to a year to close. I was getting them done in 60, 90 days.
Wow, girl, that's
So I
crazy.
had nothing else better to do but to call the bank and ask them, where are we at with this? What do I need to do next? And they would say, oh my God, Linda, I'm approving this. Get off
Yeah.
my back. I'm like,
Um,
okay.
but that's what
So,
it takes. Look at that. That's exactly what it takes. And
yep.
that's
And
what
then I
it's,
had to reinvent myself too because short sales were going away and I didn't want to be pigeonholed into short sales. So then I just went out there and became by
Mhm.
referral. Now I'm by referral only pretty much 99%.
Get up there. Excuse me. Come on, buddy. I'm so sorry. Get up there, buddy. Sorry. New
That's
dog.
okay.
He's only been with me about 6 weeks.
Oh, he's a cutie pie.
Yeah, he is. He is. So, okay, so you're in sales and short sales. Then when did this broker decide? When did you decide to become a broker?
Um, Well, it was everybody assumed I was going to do it because you only have to be a real estate agent for 2 years before you become a broker.
Mhm.
Everybody just assumed I was going to wait the 2 years and just automatically do it. And but I was like, no, I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn because I had this vision of what a broker was supposed to be. It was like Yoda, all knowing, all seeing, and all powerful,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I need to learn more. I need to learn more. I need to learn more. And then finally, I went one, two, three. I was at my fourth, yeah, my fourth brokerage, and I kept on saying, "Gee, if I only had a brain, if I only had a brain, I would go off and do my own thing." So finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna have this holding me back anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and get my broker. I'm gonna go to the class, get my broker's license, be a broker associate, and so I did it. I got past, believe it or not, first try on that one too. And I told
Wow.
him it's too easy. I don't, people say I'm smart, but I don't think someone should be, I think it needs to be a little bit more difficult, honestly.
You think it should be more
Um,
difficult?
yes, I do. And there's some things I also think should happen, like hours of training with a mentor. But anyway, we won't get into that part.
Okay, yeah, that's
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
chat. I'd love to talk about that. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
because I think there's just too many people out there, woo, 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 thinking they know it all, kind of a thing. So once I did that, I took the class. I think I completed the class like June 2016. And so I was like, I wasn't happy at the place I was at, so I started looking around for another brokerage to join. Um, and so I was like, okay, between these two places, and I called up my good friend who is another broker, independent broker, and I've known her for a while. Really, just strong, powerful woman who is, she's just an amazing, businesswoman and everything. So I called her up and I'm like, hey, I'm going between these two places. And, I'd like to go here because so and so's the managing broker. And she says, what the hell is wrong with you? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, did you just not get your broker's license? And I said, yes. And she says, and hopefully I can cuss on it. She could get off your ass and open up your own shop. I don't
Wow.
want to be sitting across from you the next time we have a transaction with you not being a broker. I want to be broker to broker on a transaction with
Oh,
you.
how cool.
She told me this. She said that to me. I want to say it was like August, like 25th. And I was like, damn.
It hit you in the head, didn't it?
Yeah, so I call up my nephew in Miami. He owns Trident Real Estate down there. I'm like, because we were talking about me opening up a brokerage up here as part of him, and I was like, listen, I said, I think I need to do it, but I also think I need to do something separately from you. And he goes, okay, cool. What do you want? I said, I think I need to relive or revive the Schulte Realty name. And he goes, hold on a second. He goes, click, 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 click. He goes, here's the one Uncle George had back in the 1980s, and it's inactive. And I'm like, grab it. He grabs it for me. He's like, okay,
Oh,
you're Schulte Realty now. And so that was like, say, August 26th. September 26th, I had my first live listing on the MLS.
oh my
So
God.
30 days later,
How exciting,
and
Linda.
that was with me making a couple of little oopsies with the state. And I just stayed focused because I made a promise to somebody I would have it up and running by September 26th, or they'd have to go and they were going to go list
Right.
with somebody else. And so they said, okay, but that's the drop dead date. And it came down to it. I had to make a couple phone calls. I had to tap dance, and all of a sudden it was a bling. I'm like, we're live.
Oh, fantastic
Yeah. So
story.
yeah,
How,
so September 26th is my date. So this September will be 9 years. Yeah.
wow, that's really cool. That is really and it's gutsy and it's everything that you are. Very gutsy, you know. I could never think about myself being a broker because it wasn't my passion. It wasn't but you had it in your blood, you had it in your family. I mean, that is
Yeah.
fantastic. How
Yeah.
when you were
And
in
I just,
sales before you got your broker license, let me ask you one more question.
sure.
How long did it take to make your first sale? Past those short sales.
Oh, so my first sale was a short sale. Um,
Okay.
no, I had a closing within my first 5 months.
Wow.
So yeah, I think I got my license May, and my first closing was October like 15th.
That's fantastic. That is really
Yeah. So after that, I don't remember. I did a sale right off I know who my first listing was and my first buyer sale is.
yeah. Well, those are the most
So
important ones.
Yes, I remember those too. But as far as regular sales go, I think I didn't start really doing regular sales, like not having the short sales like a normal sale. I think it was probably about 2012 or 2013
Okay.
that we came into being a little bit more normalized, if you will,
Hmm.
kind of a thing. So,
Wow.
mhm.
That is really great. That is really great. Wow, Linda. Well, this has been very enlightening. This has been very, very enlightening. Is there anything you'd like to share with me or with us right now that you
I
haven't
think
already shared?
um, I could, well, I'm kind of I'll share everything anybody wants to talk about, but really, I just this is a career for me. This is a career. It's a job. It's a passion. Real estate really is my life. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you don't have a life," or this. I do, and if somebody knows me well enough, they know I do.
Right.
I have my pockets and and things like that. So, I know a lot of people are like, "You need to take a break. You need to." This
It's your
fuels me. This
lifestyle.
drives me. Yeah, and I have a passion to help people, whether they're going to be buying or selling or thinking about it or anything real estate related. Like, what can I mean, like, I have people call me like, hey, I need to get my carburetor fixed. Who do I call? I don't work on carburetors, but I'm that go-to person.
You
And
are.
I love that. And I love to be able to give excellent recommendations and referrals, no matter, what it is. I'm very passionate about helping other agents too. If, somebody wants to learn the business, I'm happy to like talk about what I do, why I do it, even if they're not part of my brokerage. It's all about it's a profession that we are very cutthroat on some levels and very much competition. But once we let down and let go and say, you know what, we're collaborators, we're not in competition. Let's make this be good for the general public. And yes, we do need to make money, and yes, there is going to be a little bit level of a competition, but sometimes you win one, sometimes you lose one, and
Correct.
sometimes you're a win-win, and sometimes you're a lose-lose
Yeah, yeah.
kind of a situation. So, I don't think if I didn't get diagnosed with breast cancer, I don't think I would be in the place I am today. I don't think I'd have the level of friends that I have because some of them I would have never connected with.
Right.
Also, I don't think it would have taken me to where I'm at today, to being what I feel is my passion is real estate. And also, giving back to charity, the charities and doing the charitable work that I do. So the most number of people impacted. It's not about what you say, it's about how you make people feel and what you do for them. And, everybody's like, oh, you even say, you're so giving, you're so giving. It comes back to me. So I might give and give and give to you. You maybe have nothing to give to me, but the next person down the road, they're going to give and give and give to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you giving me so much? And I had somebody tell me that one time. I said, why are you so nice to me? She goes, oh my God, Linda, do you not know what you do? I'm
Yeah,
like, what do you mean? She's like, you're giving to everybody. You're taking care of everybody. I'm giving to you because you do all that.
that's wonderful.
So I guess just, the thing is find what your passion is. If you're not happy, figure out why, make a
Right.
change.
Change,
Um,
make the
and
change
yep, you have choices in life. You could sit here and be miserable, or you could sit here and be happy.
and thrive. Yeah, you can be
Right.
living your best life.
I choose, don't get me wrong, I get sad sometimes. I know y'all don't believe that, but I almost 99% of the time I'm very happy. Um, Even when, I have severe back pain from my sciatica thing, but I'm still happy,
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Linda, I'm going to be wrapping this up. So tell the audience, the listening audience, how they can reach you if they have any questions or they need any assistance. How can
Okay.
they reach you?
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Sure. My phone number for my office is 407-721-0611. You have to go through a couple of prompts to get to me. You can also text message at that number. Also, you can go onto our website, which is www.schulterealty.com. And then will you do a little thing on the bottom, SCHULTE REALTY.com
Okay.
is the website. And then the other option too is to email me at linda@schulterealty.com. And just so you know, I cover all of Central Florida mainly, but if you need help anywhere in the United States, even reach out to me because I've got great connections, especially in the state of Florida. I think I've got a family member working every area of the state of Florida. If not a family member, they're like family. They're a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Oh, I bet they are. I bet they are. Well, Linda, I really can't thank you enough. So I want to share with everyone that that was Linda Schulte, and we're going to say our goodbyes. And I can't thank you enough. You are a survivor, a true philanthropist. I'm going to put you in that category. You are a philanthropist.
Well, thank
And
you.
a reminder of how powerful the human spirit is. And you are someone that I look up to. And I think you're amazing. I think you're an amazing woman. And I'm so happy that I've gotten to know you better. I
think
really
I'm gonna go get a tissue because you make me cry.
don't cry, please don't cry. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, and anyone who has any questions or needs any assistance with anything as well, please reach out to me at Just Talk with Justine or Justine at Just Talk with Justine. Until the next time, this is Living Your Best Life with Survivors and Thrivers. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. This has been great.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Just Talk with Justine. If you like what you've heard, please rate, comment, and subscribe. We love talking to breast cancer fighters and survivors. If you have any questions, you can email me at justine@justtalkwithjustine.com.